Welcome back to another episode of Higher Bracket Podcast. Once again, I'm Kyle Fletcher, and this is Matt Palmer over here. This episode, we'd like to talk about basically the step-by-step of once you have an idea and you're ready to move forward on your business. So, really the first thing is create a business plan with a mission statement. Why do you think that is so important as far as a business plan and a mission statement?
I honestly think when you have a mission, it gives you something to work toward. Your mission statement never needs to be about making money. It needs to be about the company mission. Now, whether that is to provide the best service and outperform in the service area of that business, I think that's probably should be in your mission statement no matter what. Making money does not need to be in your mission statement. It needs to be about the company mission and where it needs to head and how it needs to do it in certain steps and how it's going to overall define the company.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they start a business to make money, which, we all need to make money, but it's really shouldn't be your initial goal, because the literal hell that you're about to put yourself through, money's not gonna get you through that. It could in some instances, but basically what's happened is you've come to realization that you want to start this deal, and you've decided that you're resilient enough to get punched in the face every day when you wake up. And then once you get punched in the face every day, you're going to wake up again the next morning to get punched in the face again, so on and so forth. You might get slapped around for 3 or 4 or 5, 10 years. So the pursuit of just pure money is just not going to get you through all that. So that's why a business plan, mission statement, on top of that business plan is key number one. And within that business plan, you need to have, your proposed startup costs, obviously one, and then a launch date of when you think you'll be able to get that thing going. Once you get your proposed startup cost down on paper, go ahead and put a ×2 beside it.
If not a ×3.
Industry dependent, whatever you're really going for. I mean, like I said, it's, that always, even us, when we start something new, that's always underestimated. We've just learned enough now to know that if something's going to cost you $50,000, well, it's going to cost us $120, and just roll with that
very easily.
So, like I said, business plans, number one. And if you do not have money set aside for this venture, and you're going to really take a leap of faith, and you need help from a bank, they're going to want that business plan, and they're going to want it to be as solid as possible. So that is definitely step number one as far as getting your company off the ground. Step number 2, CPA. That is one of the most important people that you're going to have in your corner. And we've been fortunate enough to have a good one for 15 years. And it's just, you have to have a good accountant.
To touch base on that, it will take you some time to find a good accountant. Okay, you could go through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of them before you find the one that best fits you. And when it comes to accounting, these CPAs, their job is to file your taxes and to kind of help you out with advice. They do not know anything about your company or the way that your systems are in place. So do not let a CPA run your company. And then, once you get big enough, you need a tax attorney. And the tax attorney will tell exactly the CPA how he needs to file, what forms he needs to file, and what he needs to do. And that's when you get more complicated into a lot more businesses and more complicated businesses. And, sooner or later, you will always outgrow your CPA. I know we've outgrown several of them, but once you get to a certain level, you will just need a different CPA.
Yeah, and then also too, interview these people. Call them up. Well, obviously do your due diligence on the back end before you call a CPA, but call them up and tell them you want to pay for an hour of their time. Take you a notepad with you, because when you walk into that office and this CPA starts telling you about different entities, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietor, this all going to be foreign, and your head's going to be spinning. Take notes. Ask him questions, but where the note taking is going to be very important is when you get home, you need to figure out what all this means. Now, he might say, well, you need to start an LLC for this particular company. Well, you still need to learn what all this other stuff means. So that is definitely, and don't be afraid to interview several of them. I've been in business involved in businesses before where that company's CPA, I swear I was smarter than them, and I don't even know accounting.
Another thing, don't just I need to start up an LLC, or everybody just assumes that you need an LLC. Do not set any entity up before you talk to an accountant.
Yeah,
there are different tax implications for whether it be a limited partnership, a sole proprietor, a LLC, a S Corp, C Corp. You go down the line. So always just don't assume, because it could come back to bite you because you chose the wrong entity.
That's true. And also assume that even if your CPA tells you something, assume that you still need to fact check that one, because a lot of these people out here, man, they go to school for accounting, but they don't know the ins and, like Matt said, they don't know the ins and outs of small business. So don't ever take, anybody's word for that matter, but especially an accountant that's handling your taxes. Just don't take their word for it. Double check and then ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And a CPA can help you incorporate an entity, but also too, we've got a company that I did online because I knew how we needed to incorporate that company. So, you don't have to use a CPA. I recommend it because really it's the same amount of money versus online, and
Absolutely. And if you fill out something wrong, trust me, you'll spend hours with your state trying to get it figured out, versus they've done it before. They do it all the time. So they're more prone, because depending on your jurisdiction, once you incorporate, you still got to get a city or a county or both. You've got to register with the deeds department in a lot of counties. So there's a lot more that goes into it. Don't incorporate and just think that everything's automatically done. There are several more licenses to get. Also, don't forget about, liability insurance. It's relatively really cheap. $1 million life insurance policy for startup, you could probably get for $400 or $500 a year annually. Yeah. A lot of your states are going to have, a franchise and exercise tax or a state tax, a sales tax. So, there's several things to fill out, and normally a CPA can help you out with all that. Because if you fail to do what's required in your state or jurisdiction, the penalties can add up, and just the overall time that it takes to fix that correction. So it's something not to really go cheap on. It's better to pay somebody to do it to make sure it's done right.
Well, also, too, and you'll learn, too, the government is going to be notorious for telling you owe them penalties and interest when they don't even tell you did something wrong. So it's your job to do it to the best of the ability you think you can do, and the government will tell you if you did something right or wrong. That's where a good accountant will save you money in the long run. So, but once you've nailed down your CPA and you've got the incorporation, however that may fall. Like Matt was saying, you're going to want to take that paperwork to your local county and city, get your business licenses. Very simple process. At least it's here. And there again, disclaimer: we only know what we know from the state we're in. So, every state's going to be different what you have to do. But this is kind of a roundabout gist. But city, county business licenses for sure, simple. Then once again, you're going to want to open up your government, your federal and your state tax accounts online for paying your taxes.
And normally that's done by the State Department. So you can always get all the information on your State Department's website. Yeah. Secretary of State.
So now you got all that nailed down. So opening a bank account. Do not mix your business money with your personal money. That is so simple that it's pretty sad that you have to say that out loud, but you would not believe the amount of people that I've talked to that run a company or that started a business. They don't do it for a long time, but they start running a business out of their personal checking account. Do not do that. Do not do that.
Big tax implications right there.
Yeah, they will wax your ass on that. So keep your money separate. Whatever you set aside for this venture, that's the business's money. You might as well just say, I gave that money away. You're in control of it, but that's not your money anymore. So keep those bank accounts separate. Piggybacking onto that, talk about how important it is to set up a personal relationship with a banker.
Yes, the personal bankers, they are great once you get a relationship with the bank. Normally in a business, when you're very small, smaller banks are the way to go. Smaller banks will be more prone to give you loans or help you out, whether it be lines of credit or just whatever. They're more prone to work with you. So having a good relationship with a small bank in the beginning is absolutely crucial to your business survival.
Yeah. And you'll go through 4 or 5 banks. They change management, and you got to follow your people around. But it's crucial for expansion of a business to be able to call somebody up. Hey, I need this, this, and this, and in 15, 20 minutes they're
done.
They're emailing it to you. It's getting money when you're running a company. You're going to be balls to the wall anyway, and when it's time to expand, it's time to go right then. So it's kind of like you need somebody that's in your corner that knows what you're trying to do and can get things done quickly as far as financial banking goes. Definitely want to develop. Now that's going to take time, but you definitely want to develop banking relationships. I think the next point of contention I would do is get you an accounting software set up. I use QuickBooks Online. We both use QuickBooks Desktop. I don't see any need to do anything different currently. I know the QuickBooks platform, and it's what I started with, so that's what I recommend for folks.
And it's personal preference. You might be better on Quicken, or Peachtree might be a better option. When it comes to software, you just need to have an accounting software, but it's going to be personal preference.
Yeah. And I can remember times when, heck, it was a couple years before I ever even linked my business bank account with my accounting software for whatever reason. Once you link those two together, it makes things so much simpler. So you definitely want to go ahead and do that. I'll just save you the time right now. Go ahead and link it up.
It's a lot easier just to download all your transactions. That way you're able to keep up with it.
Yeah, it's much simpler. So, if what you're starting is going to require employees right off the bat, when I started my first company, for whatever reason, I don't know what the hang up was. I was terrified of the employee payroll taxes, all that. I don't know why, but if you need to find you a good payroll service. It makes it just makes things so much simpler because they're
it's
handling
cheap.
it. Oh man, it's
You know, and they make sure all your taxes that are taken out of your salary are sent to the right place, whether it be state unemployment, state income taxes, federal income taxes. They handle all that for you, and I mean it's just a really cheap service to use. Most banks offer it as well. Yeah. So definitely don't mess with that. It's too cheap to outsource that.
Yeah, and don't be saying, "Well, I'll save this, that, and the other," and I'll just write my employees. No,
it'll cost you in the end.
Don't. That's the thing. Is like trying to buck the system is it just bites you every time. So it's just go ahead and set it up. Do it the right way from minute one, day one. Like we were involved in a company. They were still using old school stamped time cards and manually entering payroll and manually sending taxes to the government and formulating W-2s when you can outsource this stuff, get all that time back. That was literally one person's job and just be done with it. So don't be afraid of a payroll services, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You think that could have saved that company $50,000 a year?
Oh, easily.
By the time you pay that person, that's all they're doing. So much easier. Just what do you figure that would cost? So you'd go from 50 to maybe $3,000 at most.
Yeah, and it's done.
Yeah,
it's done and over.
So there's a savings of $47,000.
Yeah. Like Matt touched on earlier, I think you've got your corporation going, you've got your licenses, you got your bank account, you got your software. If you have employees, you've got that going. Now, let me back up on the employee thing before we move on. You are an employee of that company. This entity that you just created is a living, breathing thing.
It's got its own EIN number, which you can. Let's just say it's a Social Security number. The dash is just moved. So it is its own person.
Yep. So you are that company's first employee. So don't forget that and just think, well, I'm just going to cut myself checks out of the company. No, you need to be an employee of that company. You are an employee of that company.
And I'm going to go back to we were talking in the beginning about don't mix finances. So if you got to go to the liquor store or the grocery store, you don't be using your company card. You might get away with it for a while, but when you finally get audited, they're going to nail you to the wall. And it's going to cost you so much money. By the time that you sit down with them, you pay a certified accountant that's licensed to deal with them. You figure that's going to cost you. Then you're going to have to pay penalties and taxes on all that stuff that you shouldn't have put on your company card. Mm-hmm. Now you can go out to eat and you take people to eat on your card as far as, potential customers. But you've got to do it within reason.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That mixing that buying stuff on company money for personal things.
I mean, I've seen it get way out of hand before in some instances, and I don't know if they ever got audited, but if they did, they got nailed, and it might have put them out of business. I haven't. It's been quite a long time, and I haven't kept up with it as far as that particular situation.
You think if the IRS comes back to you, say 5 years after you started your company, and they have audited you to the point where they're like, okay, well, here's $60,000 that you spent at the daggum grocery store. Here's $20,000 that you spent at the liquor store. Here's this, and this. Well, guess what? That's penalty and interest.
Oh, yeah. And then they're coming back to audit you the year before that. Mm-hmm. So the more they find, the more they're coming after you.
Yeah. So there again.
And they're going to get their money. That's kind of something you're going to pay that.
Yeah.
There's no getting out of that.
Yeah. That, Walmart, where you can't, they're going to want these receipts. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I spent $247 at Walmart on supplies and material. Okay. Well, let's see that receipt. Let's see those supplies as a material on that receipt. So don't screw around with that.
And a good filing system organization is very key to that.
Yeah.
You need to keep every receipt, whether it be gas receipt, every receipt, keep it organized, or at least keep up with everything. Mm-hmm. You will need your receipts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crucial. Very crucial.
So if you work for somebody now and you realize that the accountant is always wanting a receipt, or the person in the bookkeeper is always needing a receipt, and they jump your ass when you don't bring it to them, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So once again, that money that you put in that company, that's your money you put in that company. But once it's in that company, that's the company's money. So just always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. So, I guess, insurances, I know we touched a little bit on that. General liability, minimum $1 million. I'd go $2 million probably minimum these days.
Yeah, the value of the dollar ain't what it once was, and just like $1 million ain't what it once was.
Yeah.
Liability insurance is cheap, so don't be afraid. Reach out to an insurance broker or several insurance companies. It'll go up as your company gets bigger, but in the beginning, it's dirt cheap.
And don't be afraid to interview insurance brokers as well, because they're along with your banker, along with your CPA, an insurance broker makes your life a lot easier when you're expanding, or you have an insurance audit, because you will be audited on your insurance policies every year. Having a good relationship with your insurance broker is a must. So always remember that too. So general liability, workers' comp. If you're doing B2B, business to business transactions, and you have anybody on your customer's property, you're going to have workers' comp. I don't care if you got one employee. Then people are going to say, well, the law states that I can go up to 5 or 6 employees without having workers' comp. Well, it don't matter. Your customer is dictating to you that you have to have workers' comp.
And most of their insurance companies require it because it covers them.
So just go ahead and get ready for it. General liability, workers' comp. If anything you do involves an employee or yourself driving, you can go ahead and add your auto insurance to that for your company vehicles. Very important. I think next, you moving on, after you've got all that ironed out, and obviously you've got a name for your entity because you've incorporated. So now moving on to URLs, get you you're gonna want to find a domain that's gonna work for you. Simple search on the computer. Domains are cheap as long as it's not taken, and you don't need a particular domain that you need to buy from somebody.
Right. And that's also going back to the State Department. You need to find out that name's available in your state before you incorporate.
That's true. Yeah. So get you a good URL for your website. You want to hire someone to design you a logo and get that brand started, because that logo is the brand. So find you a graphic designer or somebody that's experienced in that space. I will say, just out of my experience, is yes, logos are important, but they're really not as important as what you're going to think while you're creating it. And me personally, I've never had a logo that I've really particularly thought that I liked right off the start, but everybody else told me it was a nice looking logo and run with it. So don't get hung up with, oh man, this just isn't right for me. This isn't. When it's your thing, when it's your name on the line, you're going to scrutinize it a lot heavier. So always get other people's opinions on stuff like on branding and logos and whatnot.
I've kind of learned throughout the years, just hand it off to the developer. And
Yeah,
they just make me a logo, and it needs to be these colors, and
Yeah.
whatever they come back with is what I normally roll with.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it don't look hokey as hell, I mean, a logo's fine. So, let's go ahead and speak on the trademarking and copywriting. That's something that I wish I had done on my first company. I didn't. You can't go back. Once I actually thought about it 10 years later, you can't necessarily go back and copyright something. Right. So,
like you want to trademark your logo and your name of your company, relatively very cheap to do.
Yeah.
Very cheap to do. As far as copyrights go, it just depends on, what do you have? And also we can talk about patents. If you are a designer or engineer that designs stuff, you want to have a patent on that. So, always kind of look out, because if you don't have your trademark and your patents, somebody can come along and steal it and patent it, and then you'll be paying royalties for something that you came up with. It was your initial design.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people are watching this and thinking, well, why am I going to spend all this money on this, that, and the other right off the bat when I haven't even turned the first dollar revenue? Well, because you've gotten to this point where you know what you want to do, and you have goals. You have dreams and goals. So might as well do everything on the front end. That's why we're here doing this, because we just want one of y'all to listen to us. Just one person, just listen to what we're telling you. And I think the advice is worth what you're paying for it right now.
That's what we're here for.
So a lot of this may seem like something you do once your business is rocking and rolling. Do it on the front end. It's a lot easier, a lot simpler. So, and at that point, okay, how are you going to get business? Well, I think at this point it's time to create a marketing plan and forecast that. Figure out how I'm going to get these customers. So that would be my next step.
And do not be afraid when you go out there to sell your product or service. Do not be afraid of people telling you no. You're going to get 100 no's before you get one yes. But that one yes, and then by the time, let's say you do 1,000 people, well, okay, now you've got 10 customers, 10 repeat customers. Hopefully they're repeat customers. It all depends on how great of a job you do with your product or service. So that needs to be something like, we go back to your mission statement. You need to provide the best service. So with that being said, those customers add up. Mm-hmm. So in before you know it, and it might take a couple of years, by the time you have 30, 40 customers, I mean, your business is pretty much off the ground and you're up and rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, it just takes time. It's all about networking. It's all about networking, and your customers are going to be your biggest advocates. They're going to be your cheapest form of marketing. So don't go into whatever you're doing, whether you're running a beauty salon, whether you're tattooing, whether you're HVAC work, whether you're doing concrete, whatever you're doing, you're selling service. That's all you're selling. You are selling service. You're not selling the product.
And don't sell yourself cheap.
That's true, yes.
Don't sell what your product or service is worth to you.
Yeah, so.
I can't tell you I'd rather pay more money for a better service
or
a product than go the cheap way out of it.
All day long. So today is December 4th, 2024. And in our industries right now, things are pretty slow. But I think with the economic climate right now, things are slow across the board with anything.
Everybody I've talked to, and I've talked to 20 different business owners, everybody's slowing down. So with that being said, we probably are coming into a recession. Normally, in a small business world, you'll see it 3 or 4 months before Wall Street catches on. Mm-hmm. So,
but a recession is the best time to start a company.
Absolutely.
And with that, we're going to leave you with these little tips here. And we'll catch you guys the next time. We appreciate you listening to what we have to say, and Don't forget to give us a sub on YouTube, a like, and comment. We'll read the comments. We want to help you guys. So if you have a question, throw it in the comments. We'll help you out.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe.
Peace.